Hello. Wait, what's going on here? Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, cool. Sounds weird though. Okay, cool. Hello, welcome to another Touchy Gooners podcast. My name is Lewis. I'm joined by German DZ and we've got Sean. How are you doing, gentlemen? 3 points on the board. We've scored a goal. We're staying up. How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
Depressed, man.
You sure we're staying up? I'm not sure about it.
Boy.
I'm fairly confident we're staying up. I can't say for certain, but you know, it does seem that way. We've beaten obviously our relegation rivals, 6-pointer.
Well, you say we beat the relegation allegations.
Yeah.
We're actually in the mud as a club, man. We're down so badly, bro.
Yeah, we are, man. We are. Anyway, today's going to be a bit of a short pod, simply because we're recording so late and we got a lot going on. So, we're going to try and cover everything as comprehensively, but as quickly as possible. So, big up everyone listening. Big up all the patrons as well. Someone's going mad outside my house. Not too sure what's going on there. Someone's car's just getting battered or something. Hopefully it ain't mine. Anyway, let's get cracking on with the Norwich game on the weekend. Obviously, I joke about us, being our first win, staying up, but it was literally our first win of the Premier League season. And there was a lot of new faces, new partnerships. It was a very new look Arsenal team, I thought. And there's a few talking points with the lineup. Ramsdale obviously coming in, which I don't know about you guys, but I kind of expected that. I just don't think you spend 30 million on a goalkeeper and not play him. And Leno, I feel like he's out of the door. Essentially, I'm not too sure he even really wants to be here. So for me, it was a no-brainer to bring Ramsdale in. Obviously, we had Tomiyasu.
Before you go into Tomiyasu, did you see what Christian Falk said, though? He said, apparently Arteta said to Leno that he will give him 2 games rest, and Leno will be back in goal for the Spurs game.
Yeah, I mean, I did see those comments, and I haven't really paid any mind to them because I just don't believe it. I just refuse to believe a manager would be that silly. Surely, what would be the sense of doing that? When has there ever been a situation where rotating goalkeepers per game works, or has there been a successful team doing that? This team needs continuity. This defense needs continuity, and if you're nailing your flag to the mast with Ramsdale and you're spending £30 million on him, he's your future, he should be playing. He should start every single game. None of this rotational stuff.
Yeah, and also on top of that, I'm kind of like, what does Leno need resting for? Do you know what I mean? It's not like he played over the summer for Germany. Obviously, he was part of the squad, but he just doesn't need a great deal of rest. I think it's a bit of a cop out, to be honest. I agree with you. I feel like Arteta's chosen Ramsdale. That's his guy. Like you said, you don't spend 30 mil on a goalkeeper that you don't intend on being number one. What I will say, however, is that I didn't anticipate it being this quick. I thought Ramsdale would come in. I just didn't know how soon it would be. So let's see how it pans out now. But yeah, I mean, 30 mil, people talking about Ramsdale wasn't bought to be backup. He's bought to be number one. It's just about how quick the assimilation would be.
You muted, bro.
Sorry, I'm saying I think a telltale sign of what what could actually happen if that is actually correct could be who plays in the League Cup against Wimbledon. Obviously, in the first League Cup game, Ramsdale played, right, and that was just after he signed. So if Ramsdale plays that League Cup game, I might side at a bit. Just okay. I mean, he could still play. No, the Spurs game. What have we got next? We've got the Burnley game next, don't we?
We got Burnley, then AFC Wimbledon, then the North London derby against Spurs. So I feel like whoever plays in that AFC Wimbledon game won't play against Spurs.
Yeah. So we've seen Ramsdale obviously play against West Brom. So I'd be kind of surprised to see him play against Wimbledon. I'm expecting Leno to play against Wimbledon. I'm expecting Ramsdale to play against Burnley, and then the Spurs game, I'm expecting Ramsdale to play unless he has like a complete and utter disaster class against Burnley. I just don't see any reason why, you would not play Ramsdale. I guess if we're sticking on the Ramsdale topic, how did you guys find his performance? 2 games, 2 clean sheets. Shameless agenda or something worth mentioning?
He wasn't really troubled, was he? I think he looked okay. Generally, I think Norwich really poor side, poor side. Yeah, I don't think he was really troubled. He looked confident enough on the ball.
Ivan Allo, he says, side note, does Sean still want Woodman after that Man United performance? Jesus Christ. These goalkeepers just gifting Cristiano goals, Like, all 3 of these goals so far have been, like, goalkeeping.
Hang on, did I say I wanted Woodman? If I did, yeah, it was probably because I didn't want Ramsdale at the time. But listen, boy, I might have to even change your mind and change it.
You look bad, man.
The thing is, I don't know who wanted Woodman, but I'm sure the people that wanted Woodman just said get him as a backup.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Whoever, because basically at the time, just to go back to that conversation from the summer, we just said we weren't comfortable spending that money on Ramsdale, basically, and I'm still not, even though he's here, like whatever, and I hope he does well. But I just felt like, for that money could have gone on a position in midfield that we needed. You know what I mean? So, and it would have cost would have been 5 mil to sign Onana, who could play from next month. Do you know what I mean? So, it wasn't really a case of like if I said that, I don't remember saying that, but if I did, it's not like I desperately wanted him to be our number 1, but it was just as a quick backup option. It's not going to cost a lot of money, but yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I think Ramsdale's been okay. He's looked confident enough. I think the things that you as a base level want to see, he's at least given, like look confident enough, not hesitated with his kicks. So those things are given. So he's looked okay, but it's like very difficult to say he's definitely better than Neno or he's worse. Like it's quite difficult to tell at the moment. I don't think he's had much to do. What I've liked from him so far is his long kicks. His long kicks are good. On the short distribution, I need to see it under pressure. I know people chopping up.
He had a nice little feint inside the other day. You see that? It was a bit of bit cheeky, that one. And my heart was in my mouth a bit. I was like, oh shit, you better not fuck up. But I think he did that against West Brom as well. I'm sure he did something similar against West Brom. But sorry, Dan, carry on.
Yeah, just need to see it under a bit more pressure. I think it was like the Norwich press was. I mean, we had Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Lokonga midfield. Both are very lay and blasé, These boys are picking up the ball from deep, turning, not getting really pressed. So it was like a fairly easy game in that regard. So I look forward. I actually want them as it was what you said. If we spend a 30 mil on the goalkeeper, this guy needs to be the number 1. What's the point in him having on the bench? And I said a few pods ago as well that he should go straight in the Norwich game. I don't see City as a good game to start for any goalkeeper. So Norwich game, Burnley, and then he should be ready-made for the Spurs game, the first big test. He should play that game. I want to see him under pressure. So
to be honest, even Burnley next week will be a big test. A lot of aerial balls. I sort of agree with Dan. I think he's been solid but unspectacular. He hasn't really been tested in neither of these 2 games. What will be interesting for me, in addition to shot stopping, I just want to see the kind of impact he has on the defense overall. Goalkeepers that are a calming presence, and you visibly see it on the defenders. So if he can bring, a calming presence to the back 4, I think that's a good quality, which I don't think sometimes Leno doesn't transmit. Your back 4 should feel comfortable behind you. That enables you in itself to, the defenders to play more of their natural game. That having a supreme goalkeeper, who can come and claim crosses or who punches very, very well. And obviously with Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood against Burnley, in the coming week, and that will be a big, big test. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
Yeah, I mean, Ramsdale is a very different goalkeeper to Leno, right? I think the differences are very stark, just in terms of like not even their ability, just like their characteristics. You look at Ramsdale, Matt, you don't shut up. You talk about the defenders want like a presence behind him. They're going to forget that they've got Ramsdale behind him. He don't shut up throughout the whole game. He's screaming at defenders. some people might not think that's a big thing. I quite like that from my goalkeeper. I like my goalkeeper to be a vocal presence. I like him to be commanding. I like him to be, you know, a leader at the back.
But you can be a leader without shouting and screaming the whole time, though. So I don't know if that's a quality that we can ascertain and say, yeah, this is good. Or this
I would
is
rather
bad
I would rather my goalkeeper be very vocal than not. Personally, Leno is a bit too rooted to the line, kind of goalkeeper. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Leno shout at a defender before. What that means, I don't know. But Dan, listen, I don't want to get onto your boy. Yeah, I don't.
That's
Listen,
not
I
my
know he's
boy,
your
man.
boy.
We need
You're Patriot, all right?
And he definitely, I swear they did like one of these Arsenal player camp things with Leno before, where he was shouting and people were saying we can't understand him because he sounds German as a joke. So he was definitely shouting, you know.
Maybe that's why he stopped shouting.
Yeah, I mean, I just think these guys are professionals. They're not Sunday League players. Like, they don't need a goalkeeper shouting at them the whole time.
I disagree, you know.
Of course, but they don't, like, realistically, these men played enough games, have enough experience at this level that they really should know what they're doing.
Do you know why I disagree with you, Dan? If you look at the organizational issues we have from set pieces, from
this is something where I think that is with the set piece coach. Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper helps, but you see a stark difference in how we attack set pieces now and defend them compared to Wenger's time. We were actually good on set pieces on the Wenger, attacking and defending them.
Sometimes we were, not all the time.
No, people created this conversation of Arsenal pull from set pieces. We weren't. We were very, very strong from set pieces. And since Arteta has been here, we've been very poor from set pieces.
We were okay. No, we were okay last year.
We've not scored a goal. I think we scored.
As in attacking.
Yeah, attacking.
But defending set pieces, we were okay last year.
Defending also, I felt like
we didn't concede many goals from set pieces last year.
We didn't concede many goals in general last year, you know. But in Emery, for example, set pieces were one of the weaknesses as well, you know. So I think this is more an organizational thing from the coaching side. Everyone knows what they're doing and how they're doing it. You know, the goalkeeper can't tell someone on the edge of the box, like, you know, follow your man, or, you know, mark the space properly. You can't organize that. He can come and claim the cross, which Leno is not good at. We need to see if Ramsey is good at that. That will really help. That will be a big trait, I think. And that's something that Chesney used to have, for example. Like a game against Stoke or a game against Burnley, like they would hook crosses in, Chesney would claim them. And, you know, if Ramsey has that quality, that would be very, very strong.
One thing I'll say is, I think I watched Sheffield United against Burnley last year. God knows why. Don't ask me why.
That sounds like horror, mate.
It was horror. And Ramsdale was very poor. Very poor. He struggled a lot with their long crosses into the box, set pieces, flapping a lot.
Seems like
that's one of the games that really stood out to me, actually. As oh shit, this guy don't look good. He looks very uncomfortable. And I remember that game quite well because they were hammering it on him, boy. And I think he made a mistake in that game. I might be wrong. That led to a goal. I might be wrong though. But
I'm gonna look at the highlights after this.
Yeah, he was not good in that game at all. He looked very flappy. So something to watch out for, maybe. And you know, listen, it's going to be a tough test, and I think it's a test that he needs. Moving forward, obviously we got a debut for Takahiro Tomiyasu. Interesting player. And I said interesting player the other day. I say interesting player because I still don't know quite how good he is. He surprised me a little bit with how good technically he was. When I saw him on the clips, obviously granted it's just clips, I've never seen the geezer in a full game. Absolutely never seen the geezer in a full game. I felt like he looked like a centre-back playing right-back. And I never liked those type of players. But against Norwich, he looked really comfortable. Did a lot of nice things, just very, very comfy in possession, off of both feet. You know, in tight spaces, got out of a few situations. Defensively, looked really strong. I think he won like 7 out of 8 aerial duels, something like that. Yeah, I was just really impressed with his performance, actually. I know it's against Norwich, so we got to add a bit of Norwich tax. But yeah, what was you guys' thoughts on Tomiyasu? Any surprises there, or like, is this kind of like what you expected him to be?
Well, when we did the pod last week, we were talking about our predictions. I think I went for him as, sort of surprise of the season. And surprise can be twofold. A surprise because, like you said, a lot of us don't really know that much about him. But what I have seen of him so far, it's a surprise when you see someone who is so tall. He's like a 6'2" right back who's quite agile, which you don't expect, and you're quite surprised to see upon first viewing. And he did his interview yesterday for the website, and he talks about being both. He looks very, very comfortable on the ball again, which is another quite a surprise for me, considering his height and his size. But sometimes people of that height and size, they can look a bit slow or a bit stiff. He doesn't look stiff, so that's another sort of positive in his favor. So, but obviously, like you said, caveat it the fact that it's only one game and it was against Norwich. But I've actually liked what I've seen on first viewing, and I like you said, I like the fact he's very, very good in duels. Every ball that went in the air, he looked like he was, and we're definitely going to need that against Burnley this coming weekend as well. So he's someone who obviously naturally, in terms of how Arteta wants to set up, that right back is always inverted. So in the first phase of play, he'll be in the same line as, a Gabriel and a White. But as we sort of progress the ball up the pitch, he'll be in the two, along the two midfielders as well. So, playing as a right back and a sort of quarter centre mid at the same time. So he seems quite intelligent, to be fair. And to be fair, Asian players, when I have watched them, are quite intelligent. It's, sometimes athletically that they sometimes lack, but he doesn't look on first viewing like he's lacking there. So props to him on his first viewing. So let's hope he can keep it up, and let's hope we can see a bit more of him. But yeah, I liked what I saw, man.
Yeah, same, man. You know what? I mean, you guys know me for a little bit now, man, and I'm obsessed with defenders that have good coordination. If your feet are coordinated, you have.
What a strange thing to be obsessed about.
It's very
coordination.
It makes a big difference. All the good defenders have it. The meaty ones don't quite got it, and the shit ones don't have it at all. So Tomiyasu has very good coordination. His feet are very well sorted. Left and right foot. I like the way that he jockeys. And he's very fast, actually. Like, he's tall, but he's fast. He's obviously very strong in the air as well. He's won a lot of battles in the air against Norwich. I would like to see against Burnley. Burnley is a different type of test. I don't know if he's come across a team that plays like that in Serie A, to be honest. So that will be interesting. But I think, and I think I've mentioned it in the last pod that we did, that outside of Ødegaard, that's the signing that I think I can get on board with the most, because this is someone that you've clearly identified, you've scouted. He looks like he has a very interesting and good profile, and complements the players that we have around him. So I do like the signing. I hope he does well, and I look forward to seeing him playing more. He looked good to me. Even going forward, I think there was one opportunity when he didn't hesitate shooting on his left foot. I think it was blocked, and then there was like a half volley where he was basically fly kicking into it, very close. You muted you, but yeah, very close. So I think he can maybe give some offensively as well. There were a couple of times as well when he was composed in the final third, rather than just mashing across what Chambers would do, because he doesn't trust himself to go past the man. So he has to just come inside, looking for the players at the edge of the box and passing it to them. I think he looks like a very confident and competent player.
Yeah, and obviously, again, we keep talking about Burnley being this acid test. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get tested a lot more in that game as well. But I think he's going to be a good aid next to Ben White, who we all know has like got issues aerially, it seems, from what we've seen anyway. He's played 2 games, and in both days, I guess less so against Norwich, but obviously in his debut against Brentford, he he struggled with the ball in the air, and which has been well documented, obviously. And this game was the first game where we saw the Gabriel and Ben White partnership, and I just want your thoughts really on Ben White's performance and like the impact Gabriel coming back could have on Ben White. Because I felt like Ben White looked a bit more comfortable in this game. I know it's a different game. Norwich are not direct. They like to pass the ball around, so it's a bit of a different game. But I felt like Ben White looked a bit more comfortable. We saw a lot more of him on the ball than we have in any other game so far, including preseason. And I think he really started to showcase his passing ability in this game as well, which was nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, it will be obviously, again, like you said, we have to caveat it because of the level of opposition. I think for me, it will be interesting to see how this partnership evolves, because I watched Ben White a lot when he was at Leeds and obviously when he was at Brighton as well. He's a very aggressive front-footed defender naturally by trade, and that's the same type Gabriel is. But in this game, it looked like Ben White was the one who was dropping off a bit more, and he was happy for Gabriel to take the lead. Now, obviously, I think they will have to work out and balance who's going to be the one who presses and who's going to be the one who drops off, because obviously we can't have both of our centre backs, pushing up, and because one ball in behind, we're going to be finished. So yeah, it looked okay. Like you said, hopefully communication wise, this okay. They'll need to work out relative roles, but yeah, it looked okay. Just generally, I can't say too much. I don't think they were overly penetrative. There was one ball from Ben White towards the end of the game, I think, where he had it on the right side and he pinged it over to Pepe, which was nice as well. But I don't know if you saw that, actually. Arteta was fuming after Pepe's touch when Ben White pinged it over to him. But yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I think we just have to, and this probably applies to all our sort of new recruits, just because we've not seen them. There's new players, there's new partnerships. It's going to take, a couple games for stuff to gel, for us to see more, for us to see them in bigger tests. So it's hard to draw too many conclusions at the moment. But yeah, it was okay.
Dan, what about you? Any thoughts on that partnership and any improvements from Ben White?
Yeah, I think Ben White looked confident and competent as well, on the ball especially. I think, again, I feel he's very duel shy. And I think in order to compensate for being on the back foot in duels, he tries to anticipate a lot of situations and get ahead of those, which is, I think, is a good quality. Obviously, he's trying to read the game and stopping things before they get going, kind of thing. And he's done that a couple of times against in that Norwich game. And obviously, those are players that they're not of the highest level in it, right? So it's a bit easier to read them than Lukaku, Ronaldo, and do what he did, nipping in front of them than against those guys. So he did that quite well. So I like that from him. I think his ball playing was good. Again, a game where there's not a lot of pressure, I find it difficult to judge. And I'm sure we will talk about Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Lokonga as well. But I just felt like there was not a lot of pressure in our third. We in the first 25 minutes, we were pressing them quite a bit. So they were shy of coming out. And yeah, it just allowed us to play and do what we wanted for a large part of the first half. But overall, I think he had a decent, Premier League debut at home. I think not much you could ask from in that game. Of course, the dual shyness is still a bit worrying to me, but he played a lot of nice passes. If there's someone else on that right wing touching the ball down, maybe we'd get a few more chances.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Lokonga playing there is far from what the ideal centre mid partnership that we would want in Premier League games. And I know people like to say, well, this is the Arteta had these boys out there today, but I mean, we had two of our two main centre midfielders out, so it wasn't quite that.
What did you make of them, of Ainsley and Lokonga in midfield?
I'm still not sure on Lokonga, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you still.
I
mean,
thought he
like
did
his profile
okay.
and stuff, but
Yeah, and you know what? I'm willing to give him time because he's so young. And he's clearly got some ability. I just feel like the game kind of like passes him by a lot. And as a midfielder, I just don't think you should be allowing that to happen. I think you made a good point in regards to the quality of the opposition, the fact that the game was quite low intensity. Norwich were happy to let us have the ball, especially for the first part of the first half, where we kind of had Norwich. I don't want to say boxed in, but I think we were in control of the game for like the first 20-25 minutes. So it was a bit of a jolly up for them in the midfield. We didn't have to do too much of the winning the ball back, but I think the issue came when Norwich started to settle and they started to realize that we were a bit toothless, and they thought, you know what, maybe we can have a go. And it was at that point where I started to realize, yeah, this midfield they're not assertive enough, and I don't think they're switched on defensively enough. That I think, well, we know all about Ainsley Maitland-Niles' lack of real intensity, and I just don't. I think Lokonga suffers from something similar. Not as like Lele as Ainsley Maitland-Niles, but just he wants to play the game at his own tempo, and the Premier League does not cater for you playing at your own tempo. The game is the game. You better get in the game. And I just didn't really see it from either of them. I thought Lokonga was the better of the two, and I was a bit surprised that he came off. But then I realized that the substitution was probably a good one in hindsight, moving Ainsley Maitland-Niles to right back. So it made sense to bring off Lokonga instead. So I understood it in hindsight. But yeah, Ainsley Maitland-Niles not for me. Sorry, not in centre midfield. Doesn't offer enough for me.
It was even weird, man, because I don't remember the last time I saw him play centre mid like properly from the start for Arsenal as well. So it did feel like, obviously, I know he was on loan there for West Brom.
I think one of the Europa League games, maybe a while back.
Maybe,
yeah, something.
Yeah. So it's just. I think I agree with what you were saying. Obviously, both of them have a decent degree of athleticism, so they look like they can cover the ground well. But yeah, I like my midfielders to either be intense and aggressive. So either you're just literally dominating your space, which I don't think either of them necessarily did, or you have to be ultra techie and the ball is moving quick. And I think that's probably my main criticism, not just of them, the whole team, but just generally. The ball doesn't move anywhere near fast enough. There's people taking too many touches off the ball. I need it out. You saw when Partey came on, boom, one touch, ball through the lines, panned it through the lines. And I just need that regularly. It helps to unsettle deep blocks, unsettle people set in stone in their position. So yeah, it was all just a bit too slow for me. And I don't mind Lokonga, like has been said, but it just comes back to my problem with a lot of our dealings. In the summer, you just kind of feel like with the amount of money spent, we could have bought less but bought ready more. Do you know what I mean? So and the two that stand out to me in terms of how a Bissouma is someone who very much, we've spoken about loads of times, who dominates his zones, dominates his space, is aggressive, imposes himself upon the opposition, will take the ball from one end to the other very, very quickly. Or you go, De Xhaka style, but with someone who's just a bit more accomplished on it. And, the more I watch Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon, the more I just wish, we had bought him in January 2020 when Xhaka had thrown his toys out the pram. Because, when I talk about people who circulate the ball very, very quickly, with him, the ball moves very, very quickly. And it's very, very progressive. Ball's always going through the lines. He's not scared of passing through the lines. He's a very high volume passer like Xhaka, but I feel like he's a bit more penetrative in terms of his passing, in terms of how often the ball gets into the final third with him. So, yeah, I look at it and I'm just like, we could have spent the money better in centre mid, man. And hopefully Lokonga, grows to be like what we want him to be. But the issue with, and this is what I've been telling people, is that, I don't know how long it's going to take for him to be the necessary level we want. And our rivals are not going to sit still and wait for us to catch up. And, if we knew that we were going to spend like we did this summer, we could have got more ready-made options to go from from the get-go. I know someone said like Lokonga's great, I don't get the chat. It's not that he doesn't have potential, but Arsenal have a lot of players with potential. We need more players who are ready-made and ready to do it now for us. And you know, I look at it still when I just see our midfield and I'm like, it's only Party, man. It's
Bro,
only
I
Party.
Yeah, go on.
I echo what Lou said as well in regards to like Lokonga coming in. I think Lokonga looks talented for me. I don't know how talented it's not like I'm thinking, oh shit, this is the next big deal straight away. And we have to be honest in our assessment. Maybe I'm wrong, but he doesn't strike me as like Gravenberch, Camavinga. When I've seen those guys play, it just feels like another level, you know, that there isn't ever.
What about Guendouzi
in his age range? I mean, I think Guendouzi is a senior player in regards to Lokonga. Like Guendouzi starting games at a big team like Marseille. He's getting called up to the French national team. So I mean, he's not an Arsenal player anymore, really. But
who do you think is more talented?
Oh, that's very hard to tell for me. And I think in the group we had that discussion. I think right now there's no discussion for me in regards to who's better. Right now, Guendouzi is definitely better in my opinion. Talent-wise and potential-wise, I can't quite ascertain it because I haven't seen enough of Lokonga. But I think I like the skill set. And I think Lokonga looks like a player that if we were really good, and we're bossing games and this guy comes in, he would look quite good, like, you know, but we are not. So again, I think that the requirements that we have at the moment are different to what he can offer us. And this is where the discrepancy is, you know. And with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I mean, that midfield stuff, it just needs to be gone, man. Focus on right back. We say Lokonga and Ainsley been okay in midfield. I think Lokonga was quite dominant in his duels. I double checked as well. He won like 6 out of 6 duels. He was pretty pretty good in that regard. I like his long balls better than Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well. They have better directive, are closer to the player when he attempts them, etc., etc. From Ainsley in midfield, a lot of things I saw, apart from the mobility aspect and being able to cover grounds, a lot of the things I saw I didn't like. Pass appreciation, which pass he would select, timing, how many touches he takes. All these things make a big difference. And to go back to the speed of play thing, for me, the biggest indication of the quality of a team is speed of play. Watched Liverpool today. Watch the first 20. If you haven't watched Liverpool first 20 minutes, watch the first 20 minutes against them versus Milan tonight, and look at the quality of play based on fast exchanges between players moving into the space fast, players being aggressive. And we don't have that. We play football at walking pace. And this is why we're shit and we don't create anything. You know, you destabilize defenses by moving the ball fast. And I can only echo the thoughts of you guys saying that what we need in midfield is different to what we actually have and what we then went out into the market to acquire. It's a bit disappointing in my opinion. Granted, we talk about midfield, so we got to talk about Partey. I mean, the guy is top quality. We need to actually find him a partner and not someone that is 20, 21. Like, we need to find a partner that is in around his ability, in around his age range, you know. We need to have some serious players in midfield, in my opinion. We're doing this Project Youth stuff, but we've given so much, you know, faith and hope into Saka and ESR, who are definitely guys who deserve that, but we're putting a lot of burdens on young players all over the pitch. Saka, ESR in attack, then people are going to call for Lokonga over Xhaka in midfield. At the back, we're going to have who do we have? No, at the back we don't have. Ramsdale's pretty young as well. You know,
Ben White's young.
Yeah,
Gabriel's young. They're all young. Tomias, they're all young. What our back four is what? But all under 24.
Yeah, all under 24.
It's a very young team, man. Very young team.
We need more experience, in my opinion, and higher quality than those guys that we have right now. You're on mute.
And you know, when we talk about experience, it doesn't even need to be like, I'm saying, you could get like someone like a Bissouma who's experienced, but he's 24. You know, do you know what I mean? Ready to come and have that level of impact right now. I know there was one guy in the comments, James, he said we were all salivating about Lokonga in his comps. What I will say, and that wasn't true, we all said he looked decent, but what we all said, he shouldn't be the main option. Do you know what I mean? So we said Lokonga would be good as a supplementary option, but the fact of the matter is that we haven't improved the central midfield area from last summer. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't even address James if I was you, Sean. He clearly has listening difficulties. So I don't even know who you are, James. But yeah, get your listening up, B. Get your listening up.
But yeah,
clearly lacking in comprehension.
But yeah, overall, we just need more quality, man, and really and truthfully, that's the biggest indicator. You know, in terms of the guys talking about speed of play. To be fair, I don't think Arteta wants anybody to pass the ball slowly. I just think it's the guys we have, you know, who just don't move it quickly enough. They either can't or it's just not in their nature to do it. So yeah, we just need better, man. Better. And that's why a lot of us, you know, we get a lot of criticism on the account, people saying we're too negative, or do you know what I mean? I think the reason a lot of people are a bit downbeat is that, listen, we spent a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? For that level of money we spent, we think we could have been in a better position by now. You know? So yeah, that's just kind of where it is, man.
Let's talk a little bit about the game, because obviously the game was in different phases with, you know, obviously I thought we started off quite brightly. I was at the game, and I was with my friend Sate, and we were watching the game, and I said to him, if we don't score in this first 20 minutes or so, we are going to really struggle, and the fans will start growing frustrated, because I actually felt like there was quite a good atmosphere at the Emirates on Saturday, which I was surprised to hear and see. Maybe because there's a lot of young players, a lot of new players as well. There's like a bit of optimism there in that regard, right? People want to see the new players. People want the new players to do well. So that can always give you like a bit of lease of life as a supporter, right? So I felt like we started off quite well, but I said to say, if we don't score after 20 minutes, in that 20-minute stage, we could be in a bit of trouble, because what will happen is we undoubtedly will allow Norwich back in the game. Frustration will grow, and players will start making mistakes, and all of a sudden it will become a bit of a to and fro game, and the fans will start getting on the players' backs a bit. And it started to become that way. I think, late into this first half, we saw Norwich come into the game a little bit, and it started to go a bit to and fro. I think we started the second half a bit more in control, but it wasn't until Partey came on that we really, and Emil Smith-Rowe as well, was when we really took control of the game. And I think we blasted Norwich in the last 30 minutes, to be honest. We really should have won that game 3 or 4-0 with the chances we created. But I guess the question I wanted to ask you guys is, obviously we didn't have Partey, we didn't have ESR, we didn't have Xhaka, 3 players we expect to start week in, week out for us, right? Is that first half performance something that we should be looking like? Should we look too much into that first half performance, or should we be focusing on, okay, when Partey, ESR came on, right, this is our team, this is the team that we should be talking about, not AMN and Lokonga in midfield, because that's not going to be our midfield going forward. And midfield is a huge part of any team. Anything that you want to accomplish, the midfield is a huge part of it. So should we take some encouragement from the fact that Partey came on, Emil Smith came on, and we actually looked quite decent, I thought. For that last half an hour, I think we created a lot. I think we created something like 3 XG or something in the last half an hour, something like that.
Scored a couple goals still.
Yeah, so that's a lot of chances to create in half an hour of football. So yeah, did you feel encouraged when Partey came on and ESR came on?
Yeah, I think when you put into context like that, yes. I mean, I don't want to. I've said this already, but I don't want to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles in midfield again. Please, I just it kills me, man. Lokonga, I think, just needs a bit more time. Shouldn't probably start Premier League games for us at this stage. So yeah, you make a good point there. When Xhaka and Partey, if them two would play, maybe we would have already been 2-0 up in the first half. So that is good. I think that's a good point. I'm still a bit, it's just one of them ones where we always have those 20 minutes where we should have scored and we didn't. And especially on that when we feel like we haven't capitalized on our dominance, and then the game is going into distribute, and like it's in the balance. So that's how I felt with that Norwich game again a little bit. We didn't score in that time frame. Then Norwich didn't really do much, but they had chances. They had chances.
Half chances, yeah. Like a few blocks here and there. There was the header that went past the post in the first half.
Crossed.
Yeah. I feel like every team in the Premier League, though, you're going to get chances. Like, I do feel like that. In the Premier League, the teams are so good, even the small teams, they're so good that, you know, you look at Chelsea against Villa. Chelsea won that game 3-0. Villa had chances. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, you look at Palace against Spurs. Palace absolutely smoked Spurs. Smoked them.
It just worried me because I felt like Norwich weren't even really in the game, and they managed to create really good half decent chances. And I felt like if this is a half decent team, I view Norwich as like bottom 3 teams in the league. I feel like they probably score, you know. So
maybe,
let's see. I think Burnley's going to be a very good test and indicator. I mean, they left a lot of space for Everton, you know. I wonder if they approach a game similar against us. But I do think Burnley's one of the teams that think they can come and attack us because they're physical and intimidate us. So maybe there is space for us. And if Partey plays, if ESR plays, dare I say, even if Xhaka plays, he's better than Lokonga and Ainsley now. So if them 3 play, I think we can open them up. So yeah.
Yeah. Sean, what about you? Any encouragement from the fact that when we did have like our, I want to say near enough our first 11 on the pitch, we looked quite good.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, Partey and ESR, they're 2 of our much better players. So it was just a case of bringing on our better players, and naturally, as you'd expect an improvement. It will be interesting to see a couple of things. Obviously, I'm trying not to be a bit too harsh because I know there was a lot of new players, new introductions, you know, just new partnerships generally. So obviously, sometimes these things don't always click straight away. Arteta will need to, you know, be decisive in terms of what he sees as his best approach because obviously Partey played as a single pivot when he came on, you know, ESR and Odegaard either side of him. So that'll be interesting to see how that evolves. It's not the first time he's tried that, so that might be an indicator to what he's looking at long term. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we need to improve. He needs to show improvement. He's been backed heavily. You know, I know people talk about trusting the process, but when you get to spend hundreds of millions, you don't really get a time for a process, especially when we're in the precarious position we are in. You just need to pick up results ASAP. So yeah, we're going to need to do something similar against, you know, Burnley as well. I think obviously Xhaka is still suspended, so he won't play against Burnley. So it might end up being Lokonga and Partey. So they'll need to mop up, even if they don't beat like, you know, Chris Wood or Barnes in the air. Like the second balls, I think are going to be vital. Yeah. Very, very important.
Who do you think gets the nod for that, though? You think it'll be Lokonga over Ainsley?
I'm not trying to see Ainsley centre mid. So I can't lie to you.
But in Arteta's mind,
yeah, I mean, I mean, maybe, but
like, who do you think come out of that game with a bit more credit?
Probably Lokonga still. I think. And he spent. I think the reason he kept Ainsley on was because, you know, Ainsley can play right back, so he was looking to go for a more attacking formation to try and win the game. And obviously, he was always going to be Partey over Lokonga. So I didn't read that much into it because the way he set up in the final 30 minutes was, you know, he was going all for it. So yeah, I expect it. Do you know what I mean? 20 mil for Lokonga. He's, you know, when Edu spoke about it, he was like, yeah, he's the backup to whenever Xhaka or Partey are unavailable. So I expect him to start. Do you know what I mean? So, and hopefully, you know, I am being a bit critical of him, not necessarily because it's an indictment on the player, just because it's an indictment on where we are and where we should be. Do you know what I mean? With a more better established option. But I guess that's not necessarily his fault. It's the fact we renewed Xhaka. But of course. Yeah, that's a conversation for it. Sorry, Dan, go on.
Yeah, I mean, we have to scrutinize and analyze these things, and in the grand scheme of things, that signing has to be really good this season in order for it to make sense for us realistically. And that's where it is. Doesn't mean that we don't like Lokonga or have an agenda or anything. We have to analyze what we see and then put this into context and into what Arsenal are aiming to achieve this season or need to achieve. Can he contribute adequately to that? It remains to be open. I'd be more confident with someone like Basuma, and that's just a fact.
Just quickly, guys, before we wrap up, just want a quick word on Pepe, Aubameyang, Odegaard. So we'll start with Pepe. God, man, deeply frustrating game from him because I felt like he just does so many just simple things badly. There were so many loose touches, just general shit. Like, just general shit, and it is frustrating because the thing is, you look at the stats, and if it was a player that, we were linked with and we were watching like compilations of and stuff like that, and we thought, well, what, this player looks quite decent. And then you see like on SofaScore that man had like 6 shots, 6 key passes, an assist, hit the woodwork. It's like, oh, do you know what? This guy had a really good game, but I just can't get that. I just can't give him the credit for that game on Saturday. I thought he was really, really poor. And we need better, man. We need better. He scuppered so many of our attacks with bad decision-making, bad technique, lack of quality. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is with Pepe, and I thought Saka was poor as well. I don't know if the solution is to swap them. Maybe play Pepe as a left winger, put Saka back out on the right. But yeah, both of them I felt were really poor. Odegaard, I thought struggled in a game that he was getting the ball, but. I don't know, man. I was expecting magic.
They were telling me he grabs Graham's by the scruff. Like
who?
That's what they were telling me about Odegaard.
Well, that game grabbed him. I don't know about him grabbing.
Odegaard, and that's well documented. But we need a lot more from him. That was not a good game. Not a good game. I don't care if he played one nice through ball to Aubameyang. The rest was not.
It was offside, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was offside anyway.
Right, yeah. Don't count.
The rest was not good enough, man.
Get your key passes up.
That's our marquee signing this summer. He's got to start stepping up, man. Isak came on and looked much better than him.
Exactly. And these are the games where I would expect Odegaard to have like a really big impact on these games. Same as Pepe, actually. I feel like these are the games that kind of suit them.
But Pepe had a big impact. He just looked like he was on Beyblades half of the time.
He did, in fairness.
You see the thing with Pepe, I think it's just the fact that his fundamentals are just very, very bad. You can tell he's just. I think they said he didn't start getting coached till he was like 15, and it just shows.
That was a goalkeeper at 18,
Yeah, see what I mean? He's just not. And it's such a weird thing because as annoying and as frustrating as he is, anywhere in the final third, you believe he can score. So it's so weird to have a player that is so enigmatic, but at the same time can be very, very decisive. Because as you said, most dribbles, most key passes, he was the biggest threat, despite the fact that he'd done so many things wrong. So is it one of those things you just persist hoping that, because at the end of the day, put it this way, if Pepe plays most of the games this season, he's going to get into double figures. He will score a lot of goals again, but you just have to put up with what will come with the other side of it. Me personally, I don't want to. I want to move Saka back to the right. And, I want to bring ESR in on the left. Obviously, I know the drawback with that is we need Saka and ESR to improve their output. Both of them really need to improve their output. That's vital going forward. Yeah, it's for anything we're looking to do this season. It's key that their output is high, and obviously, like Dan said, we're placing a lot of maybe unfair burden on them. But the reality is,
it's the position we're in.
It's the position we're in, but also it's how we chose to spend our money. So we chose not to spend it on offensive players. We chose to spend a lot of it on defensive players. So that's where we're in. We're asking for a massive, massive uplift from them and Odegaard as well. So yeah, Pepe wasn't great. Erdegaard wasn't great. Oba, we know what Oba is. Oba needs service, and Oba didn't get a lot of service this game. But he looks a lot more engaged, I think, this season.
Man.
I was going to say, I thought
he does.
Yeah,
he looks a lot sharper. So he and there was a bit, where like he picked up the ball and he was just running. Like he doesn't look slow. He doesn't look like he's lost that. You know when people say he doesn't look like he's lost that yard of pace or anything like that.
To me, it's never been a physical thing. To me, it looked more like I can't be bothered kind of thing, or not can't be bothered, or it's just like in football, we there's just fine margins. If you're like 5% off of, especially at the elite level, if you're like 5% off your game, like if there's a game that you turn up and you aren't quite in the zone, I think it can have a real impact on your performance at the highest level. And I do feel like, not that he wasn't trying or anything like that, I just do feel like he was a bit disengaged before, and maybe to a certain sense still is. And I think that translated itself into bad performances last season, and and people thinking, or people still thinking that he's a bit finished. But if we can get him chances, I still feel like he can score goals.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think he looked sharp, and I've maintained I don't think he's finished. Physically, he's certainly not finished. He's still very fast. He still anticipates situations very, very well. And he makes runs just like that, he's off. So he's still there. The team, I think, is not at the level to create enough chances for him. And as what you said, maybe he was off. But he played at an unsustainable level. And when he scored them goals for us in the FA Cup and towards the end of that season, so he was not going to be able to replicate that. Not many players can in world football. So. We need to create more chances. It was a game where we were better. Some of these chances fall to him. He will score. He scored one. We have to also have an honest conversation about Pepe. This guy is crap, but he also is kind of good. At some of the stuff that he does. Like he just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm watching Pepe. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like the ball is mid-high, slow pace, and he's bouncing off his chin. It's like, why is the ball bouncing like this, bro? And then the next play, the ball will come fizzed at him. He will turn on it. Like he will have a man on him turn, then doppy another man and play nice ball. It's like, bro, if you could put this all together, this would be like a good player. But he doesn't. Most of the time, it is some Cooper Decalé shit, and then some of the time he does some other stuff. But one thing I do give him, because he's so unpredictable, you don't know what the hell he's gonna do, and he is threatening. He's probably our most threatening player, because he's actually one that can beat a man and then score. And I think Aubameyang has more off movement. I mean, he's got his cut in and finish, but he doesn't really dribble much, Well, Pepe, he's trying to dribble, bro.
But you see, what we might have to have a discussion about in the future as well is that because in an ideal world, you don't really want either Oba or Pepe involved in build-up. So then the question is, can you have two players not involved in build-up and still be a threat? Because these two guys harm your build-up in terms of trying to create chances. Ideally, you just want both of these guys on the end of moves. And we have a lot of players like that, because Martinelli's another player you really want on the end of moves as well. So it's more just about how we're going to try and fit it all together and make it work. And this is why I think for me, I really hope like ESR and Saka can have the uplift, because with them the ball's going to stick, the ball's not going to go to waste. It's just that we need them to be more decisive in the final third. If we can do that, it saves us a lot of problems going forward. So
essentially, we have to make a decision of who do we prioritize, Pepe or Aubameyang. And I think we should be prioritizing Aubameyang, and we should be moving Saka back to right wing. Saka needs to step up the form as well, because it's what we've been seeing from him in the league and for Arsenal. It's not been good. Let's be very honest. ESR has looked very good every time we've seen him this season. I feel
like ESR is very close. I feel like I feel like he's had bad luck. I feel like something just needs to go for him. Yeah, I feel like something just needs to go for him. Like there's been a few shots he's had this season where you're just like, oh, if that goes for him, like boom. So
yeah,
hopefully,
it wasn't a great finish on Saturday though. I
Yeah.
kind of expected him just to slot that in, you know. But he went high for some reason. I'm not too sure why he went high. You know, it just seemed right just to, you know, bend it in bottom corner, but it looked like a finish where he was too
he was trying to smash it.
He was trying to smash it, trying to be too emphatic and just he was just too eager to score, I feel like. And man, we need more composure because we're not a team that makes a million chances a game. So when we get these chances, we need to put it in a goal. And I don't trust Saka to score goals. I don't trust him to finish. Our only real goal scorers on the pitch are Pepe and Aubameyang, and it's kind of why Pepe has to play, because you need two scorers on the pitch.
Yeah, that's what we have.
That's the conundrum we're in. But at the same time, like I said, by having that, you then also go the other way in the fact that you can't sustain attacks and you can't keep teams penned in because the ball's bouncing off both of him and Oba's legs. So man, it's tough. So yeah, that really needs to be, obviously I'm sure we'll have discussions in the future, but the next areas of recruitment, 100%. Big focus.
Well, let's leave it there. We said we'd do for half an hour. We've gone 55 minutes. So, you know, time goes fast when you're winning games, lads. When you're winning games, yeah. We'll be back anyway next week. We'll try and do a Burnley preview maybe on Patreon, and maybe do a Burnley post match on Patreon as well, because I know we're doing these podcasts. It's not ideal a little while after the games have gone. So if you want to get the instant stuff, head over to our Patreon, and you won't have to wait until a Thursday or a Wednesday evening to get your Touchy Gooners fix. So the Patreon link will be in the bio. If you want to be a subscriber, £3 a month, you get all your shit to your door. So you don't have to wait for that stuff. Anyway, guys, Dan, Sean, have a good evening, and I will speak to you soon.
Peace.